call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. I'd like to start the meeting with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the town of Winnipeg Beach is located on First Nations Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene people, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties made on these territories. We dedicate ourselves to move forward with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration to make Manitoba an inclusive and accessible place for everyone who lives here. So before we go further, just a reminder to the gallery that with the meeting of council, I'd like to remind everyone in the gallery to refrain from conversations or other behaviors that may disrupt the council proceedings.
Be it resolved that the agenda for the July 24th, 2024 regular meeting of council be approved as presented.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Kozlowski. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Jarvis. Any additions or deletion requests? All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that the minutes of the July 10th, 2024 regular meeting be approved as circulated.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Jarvis. Seconder? Councillor Hole. Any comments, questions? Okay, all in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council approves the accounts payable listing being check number 23151 to 23236, inclusive of checks, electronic payments, and payroll issued in the amount of $112,430.38 as circulated.
Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Hall. Could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Jarvis. Any questions or discussions on items in the accounts payable? Councillor Jarvis.
Under the Royal Bank Visa payment, we have a Public Works electrical parts for $3,000. Can we get a?
That was for the bandstand. There was a lot of electrical work. The lights weren't working, and there was electrical work that was needed at the bandstand.
Yeah, like when electrical parts. And then the other one I have is check number 23230, and that's legal matters June 12th to 14th. Also Dortmund stuff. Do we know what that's for?
So I would have to have finance pull that. I don't have the checks in front of me. So again, I ask council if there is questions to let me know ahead of time so I can ensure that I have that information. So I believe that if I would want to pause the meeting, I can open the vault and get the check payments.
We can find that out after.
Okay, for sure.
All in favor? Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Although, do you have a question on that, Sharon? As a CAO, if it is a bill for legal matters, is it even discussable during an open meeting?
I think it would depend on the
What
legal matter
matter is.
itself.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item next is the parking bylaw meetings. We've talked about we want to deal with the the traffic bylaw. We've talked that we've wanted to set meeting dates for it. So can everybody get their agendas or calendars out and anything that's not good for anybody in the next few weeks? The CAO included?
Next week is no good for the CAO, but certainly the head of finance can sit in and take notes. So whatever works for council.
Dates?
31st.
Yeah, 31st, okay, man.
Sorry, July 31st is the only day that the finance is not in the office as well as myself. So sorry you guys, that Wednesday is the
August, anything next week?
Anything scheduled next week, head of finance will sit in at the meeting.
Okay, then why don't we go with the 5th through the 9th at any time
The 5th.
5th is the stat.
for August?
5th is the stat.
Okay, how about the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th?
Is the 6th for everybody?
Yep. Good for me.
Councilor
sixth.
Kozlowski?
Yep, 6th.
6th.
Just the one meeting?
Sure.
How long do we want to schedule it for, so that staff are aware of how much time they need to commit?
1 to 4, 9 to 12. I don't see it being longer than 3 hours. And if it's done early, it's done. I can't see it being longer than 3 hours. 1 to 4.
1 to 4?
The 6th.
Okay, be it hereby resolved that the following special meeting of council be established to discuss traffic bylaw 9-2017, August 6, 2024, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Could I get a member, please?
Good one. Move it?
Yes, Councilor Jarvis, could I get a seconder, please? Councilor Kozlowski. All in favor? And you'll advise the mayor, Sharon?
Correct.
The meeting will proceed if we have quorum. We can't keep putting this off.
So traffic bylaw, horse concern. Be it hereby resolved that council direct administration to blank.
So, can you just,
So we need a mover and a seconder.
oh, sorry, and then you'll explain it. Okay, can I get a mover, please? Councilor Jarvis, could I get a seconder, please? Councilor Kozlowski. CEO has,
So at the previous council meeting, there was a concern regarding horses and how they fit within our bylaws. So horses are permitted under the traffic bylaw as well as the Highway Traffic Act as roadworthy. So our traffic bylaw does state that there does need to be a bag attached to the back of the horse for any droppings. Aside from that, the horse is permitted on the roads. So horses would not be permitted, very much like a vehicle on the sidewalk or boulevard. And if there's anything that is occurring in the provincial park, it is under provincial park jurisdiction.
Councilor Jarvis.
And even on the information that they sent us, I don't think the road was a question. It said he's on the wrong, he's not abiding by the traffic laws, period. And even it says in the rider's handbook that he's supposed to ride on the right side of the road. You can't ride against traffic and so on and so forth. So, and that really is, I think, what, besides the call it the diaper that is needed, but that's really what the problem is that you can't just ride willy-nilly anywhere it feels like.
So although our traffic bylaw makes reference to that legislation, we had that discussion that is not under the sphere of jurisdiction of municipal government. So we cannot monitor the Highway Traffic Act. So that would be an RCMP ticket issue. It's no different than a vehicle driving on the wrong side of the road. Our bylaw enforcement officer cannot enforce that. So
henceforth, if he's riding on the left, if he's left of center, riding against traffic, then we just take a picture and submit that to somebody.
Well, that would be, yeah,
Because the example is 1,000 pounds, and if I'm pulling out of a laneway, I don't expect him to be coming down the wrong side of the road on a horse.
True, like you wouldn't expect a vehicle to be coming down the wrong side.
Exactly, because he has to abide by the law.
True. So that is the expectation. If, however, someone chooses not to do that, all our bylaw officer could do is just give notice that it is against the Highway Traffic Act, but he cannot issue a ticket in regards to that. And in our traffic bylaw, we really don't have any fine associated with a breach of ensuring that a proper receptacle is attached to the rear of the horse for the purpose of excrement. So, I mean, we can.
Yeah, we have a fine for it, it's $50.
Is it $50 in there?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, we have a fine for it.
Okay, so that's all he can do in reference to that.
Yeah,
So
but
if
my
there are
point is that,
concerns, it is an RCMP issue.
yeah, so if I, again, because he was on the wrong side of the road, I was going through a crosswalk, and I guess.
He would be at fault.
Yeah,
in
so
the
I could take a
RCMP.
picture of that and submit that to the RCMP, say, look, hey, this guy's riding his horse on the wrong side of the road.
You could, I'm not sure that it would be,
Yes, failure to remove excrement, animal control bylaw 50.
So I just have a question on that. Councillor Jarvis, are you suggesting that you would be submitting that to the RCMP as a
No,
member
I,
of
for future
council?
reference, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are you saying that you would be sending that to the RCMP as a member of council or as a
Private
concerned as a private?
Yeah, like
Okay,
example,
so
me.
then if that is your plan as a private citizen, I don't think it is anything that needs to be brought to the table at this point. If that's
Well,
going
the
to be your
point is
action
that he's
as a
going
private
through town
citizen.
riding a horse, and he's on the wrong
That's right.
side of the road, and there's people that, from a security standpoint, I think,
And my point is, if you are raising this as a private citizen and not as a member of council, then it is not up for discussion at this table.
okay.
Okay.
so is there any direction to administration on this item, council?
Based on what's been presented to us, no, I don't believe there's anything that the administration needs to do. Does anyone have a differing opinion? Okay, then no direction. Direction.
All in favor?
All in favor? Carried.
Unfinished 2022 general operating deficit, whereas in 2022, general operating deficit occurred in the amount of $93,854, and whereas it is presumed the reason for the 22 deficit is a result of budgeted deficit, therefore be it resolved that council requests ministerial approval to recover the 22 general operating deficit via taxation beginning the year 2025.
Could I get a member, please? Councillor Kozlowski, could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Jarvis. Any discussion, questions? Discuss this at length. All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council authorize the closing of Prospect Street from Park Avenue to Ash Avenue on August 9th, 2024 from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. for the purpose of accommodating the Winnipeg Beach Day Camp Annual Bike Parade, and further be it resolved that council authorize Public Works Department to provide barricades to accommodate the event if required.
Could I get a member, please? Councillor Hall, could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Jarvis. Any comment, discussion? Just wondering, do we want to adjust the time just a little bit on either side for setup and takedown? Give them an extra half an hour on each side if they want it or need it? You fine with that?
That's
Yeah, if they want the hour to run their event, then give them half an hour on either side for the road to be closed for setup and takedown.
so from 1:30 to 3:30, is
If
that
needed,
what?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All in favor? Carried. So I'm just going to skip past the public hearing. We can't start prior to the advertised time, so we'll get back to that at 6:30. And we will carry on with agenda items past there, which was that one, right?
Yeah, 11.1, so we're at 11.
Okay, so. Sorry, I got behind on myself. Who was that? Owen Jarvis. Okay.
Be it hereby resolved that council is approved to attend Madeline's Closet Open House being held in Inwood on July 26, 2024 from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with no registration fee, out-of-pocket expenses and travel per diem are applicable.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Jarvis. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Kozlowski. Is anyone available to attend? That we're a funder of theirs, and that's why we received the invitation. I already volunteer with them, and I'm unable to attend this. Do we want to just indicate perhaps then, if nobody here is available, Mayor Jackson, if she's able, and then it's covered.
So the resolution just does say council is approved, so
If
any member-
anybody's available?
Correct.
Okay, so all in favor? Carried.
Item 11.3, letter to council tripping concern. Be it hereby resolved that council direct administration to blank.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Jarvis, could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Kozlowski. Comments, discussion? Anything on this? Councillor Kozlowski?
Yeah, I didn't like those rubber curbs in the first place. I tripped on one last year and a half ago. I think they're a hazard to the people, especially the seniors in this town. If we can have some kind of barricade or something, it should be at least waste time. I think we're setting ourselves up for some problems here with those rubber curbs where they are right now in the patios. Council had voted to put those rubber curbs all the way on Main Street on the west side, from the north side to the south side, right to Hamilton. And that was never done, and I'm hoping it doesn't get done, and they can either be replaced with something better, something higher, so that people aren't in this predicament and there's not serious injuries to people. That's my take.
So you're saying we voted to put them right down and it wasn't done?
That's correct.
That's correct. And so there was a delay installing the rubber curbs due to the street sweeping, and hence there was, and then due to time delays with Public Works. And then installing, it was my decision to not install them prior to boardwalk days. And then hence after the previous last meeting, looking at installing the rubber curbs along the Murray Street washrooms. That project to continue to install all those rubber curbs will be commencing after boardwalk days.
So once sorry Sharon, I'm just trying to follow this. So once boardwalk days are done, we will go. The original decision of council
That is
will be
Adhered, yes,
adhered
that's
to.
correct.
Okay. Was Mayor Jackson at that meeting when that was decided?
That is correct.
Okay. So it's my understanding we cannot revisit a decision without everybody at the table, everybody being present at the table.
You would have to.
We would all have to be present, the original
notice of
people, yeah.
motion.
Okay.
And then to
So
reverse.
we can't make any decision on this tonight as Mayor Jackson isn't here and she was at the, in order to revisit a decision of council, all members that were at the table when the original decision occurred have to be present at the table. So until all five of us are present, we can't revisit that decision. So this will have to be tabled to the next meeting.
So the recommendation is a notice of motion needs to be filed and a notice of motion needs to be presented, and then the discussion can happen at the following meeting after the notice of motion.
Oh God, so what am I doing?
So nothing, I will send the blurb to the municipal act if Councillor Kozlowski would like to revisit that decision that was made by council. I will send the information via email in reference to how to file a notice of motion, and then that would be presented at the next meeting of council. We would accept, then if council is in agreement to revisit that, they would accept that notice of motion, and then that resolution can be revisited at the following meeting.
Is it a notice of motion or resolution that has to be done?
So you have to, because a resolution has been passed,
Right.
a notice of motion needs to be brought forward for council. If council chooses not to accept the notice of motion that you want to revisit that resolution, it will not be brought forward. If, however, council agrees to revisit that resolution and reopen that, then then that's where they'll accept the notice of motion, and then the motion, the original resolution will be brought forward, and then amendments can be made at that time.
Yeah. So I just want to make a comment. This falls under our patio license bylaw, the rubber curbs. The patio license bylaw requires the town to provide an extended sidewalk, and in the bylaw it's defined as an extended sidewalk means a temporary walkway constructed and placed by the town running parallel and adjacent to a sidewalk for the purpose of increasing the width of the sidewalk to allow pedestrian traffic to navigate around a legal patio that is erected to the edge of the natural sidewalk. So that is why those curbs are there. We are having a meeting on traffic. While I know it doesn't fall under traffic, the two conversations we may find that they go hand in hand. We're having a meeting on traffic before the next council meeting with the notice of motion. Could we also ask a direct administration to ensure that this is included in our discussion? You know, it's late in the season. I don't know if we want to go to the expense of buying bigger barricades and things for the balance of the season if they're not going to coincide with what decisions we make about parking. So I'm just thinking we could talk about it at the parking meeting as well and just sort of look at the two of them together. Are you fine with that?
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Direct administration to bring forward.
Parking meeting and also provide Councilor Kozlowski with.
Yep.
All in favor? Carried. Okay.
Be it hereby resolved that council authorize the interior improvements of painting and placement of a sitting bench in the food cupboard area.
Can I get a mover, please? Councilor Jarvis. Could I get a seconder, please? Councilor Kozlowski. So we have a request by the coordinator of the food cupboard. They would like to paint. Just let me take a look, sorry. They want to do the painting themselves, Sharon, at no cost to us.
That is correct.
And they would like permission to put a bench there.
That is correct. And the second image is for more future potential exterior benches, but that is not expected this year.
Okay. Okay. Any comments, discussion? Wonderful initiative, moving along, I think, a lot more rapidly than those that thought they were starting this little thing in town could expect. And so I'm sure we will find ourselves every once in a while getting requests from Lisa and her crew with things that they're finding as the cupboard evolves, that they're requesting for permission to do. And so this is what they're seeing as next steps. So all in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council approve the use of the bandstand for the Manitoba Youth Job Centre for a freezy sale as an extension to the Boardwalk Days market permit, and further be it resolved the fee of $100 be reduced to $35 to reflect the market fee outlined in bylaw 01-2022.
Can I get a mover? Councilor Kozlowski. Can I get a seconder, please? Councilor Jarvis. Comments, questions? Can I interest the council in considering just not charging a fee at all, given that it's a fundraiser for our group?
Sure.
Yeah?
In agreement with that.
Further resolved. Council waive.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Item 11.6, we're moving to after in camera.
Correct.
We have some in-camera discussion on that subject. Okay, item 14.1, roundtable discussion.
Sorry, 13.
Oh.
Be it hereby resolved that council accept the committee reports as presented.
Oh, I have a resolution. Oh, sorry, yes, I do. Sorry. Okay, moved by Councillor Hall. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Jarvis. Questions, comments, discussion? All in favor? Now we're at 14.1.
Correct.
Okay.
Roundtable discussion.
Roundtable discussion. Anyone have anything to contribute to roundtable discussion?
No?
Councillor Jarvis, I thought you had
I
said.
changed my mind.
Okay. Nothing?
No, summertime's pretty quiet.
Yeah, okay. I have a couple things. I would like to congratulate the council golf team that won the Winnipeg Beach Curling Club fundraiser golf tournament. Unfortunately, there wasn't a member of council on it, but I would like to congratulate Frank and crew that represented us because we weren't able to make it, so thank you to them. And that's it for roundtable discussion, I guess.
So item 14.2.
Good News Corner. So, it is hoped that every member of council can come to the next meeting and meetings after with one good news story to share. Either something they've witnessed in the community, feedback they've received from a member of the community, something good that they've seen going on. So this will be a new standing agenda item. And I just found out about this about 20 minutes before the meeting as I was reviewing the agenda with the CAO, but I do have one good news item to share, and that is I would like to welcome Jody back from her 4-week vacation, which involved Jody Thorkelson becoming Jody Mitchell, and congratulations to her and her husband Jordan. They had a lovely destination wedding in Banff, so congratulations to them, and we're, as a council and the staff as well, are happy to have Jody back and having the office at full complement.
For sure.
Yeah, we can squeeze correspondence in.
Be it hereby resolved that the correspondence be accepted as circulated.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Kozlowski, seconder. Councillor Hall. Comments, questions? No. Okay. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're gonna have to just stall for 2 minutes because our next item is in camera. So can we go out now? Just not. Let's wait. Oh, yes, I can do that. This one? I can read that now?
Yeah.
Okay. So just some public hearing regulations before we go into the public hearing. Every person in attendance must complete information on the sign-in sheet. Any person intending to speak must have indicated their intention on the sign-in sheet. Only persons indicating intention to speak will be allotted time to address council. Persons will be called upon to speak in order of the sign-in sheet. All speakers will be limited to 10-minute maximum time. Due to time constraints, no speaker will be allotted time to address a topic that has been addressed previously, and all concerns and points will be recorded. Yeah, we want to do that? Yeah, let's do that. We can do that. So it's before 6:30.
Be it hereby resolved, the regular meeting of council, July 24th, 2024, be recessed at 6:30 p.m. for the purpose of holding a public hearing as required for the following matters: variation application TWB-24-24B.
Oh, yes. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Jarvis. Could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Kozlowski. All in favor? Carried. Okay.
So then you would call the
Oh,
public hearing to order.
I'd like to call the public hearing to order. I don't need a mover.
At 6:30.
At 6:30, don't need a mover or shaker. Okay, at 6:30. Before we move to the next stage, I would just like to start by saying that whether a variance request is approved or denied, it does not mean that any similar request will be granted given the same decision based on precedence. Each variance request is decided based on its own merit, the information provided, and not made based on previous decisions or a similar request. Okay? Where am I next, Sharon? Sorry.
So then
We
have to read the objections aloud.
Okay.
And
Okay. So it will start with the objections to the request that have been received.
And that's in the information package.
Which
ones do you want?
Sorry,
Yeah, right there.
here. Okay. And just another point that I would like to make is that anyone objecting or supporting a variance request, their name and civic address are public information. Objections, okay. Sorry, just give me a second. Is this the first one?
So this is the first
Okay.
one here, so you kind of have to
Skip right here. Oh, no. Okay. Dear Sir or Madam, in response to the zoning variance request for Lot 8, Block 9, Plan 725, number 134 Park Avenue, roll number 105800, we are objecting. The homeowner wants to turn a shed on her property into a rental property, and we as neighbors object strongly for a number of reasons we will list below. The impact of the resale value of our property. No one wants to buy a property next to a rental property. This could negatively reduce the value of the homes immediately around it. As a homeowner, I do not want to assume that financial risk. Potential noise. Even if the homeowner promises that no noise will be permitted after 10 p.m., we do not know how the homeowner can enforce it. The Gimli RCMP will not respond to a noise complaint in Winnipeg Beach. The only practical solution is the renter would not be allowed to return, but this is after the noise problem has occurred. This home will have a permanent variance to allow rentals, and regardless of the present owner's promises, if she sold the property next year, the new owners are not bound by any of her promises. Right of passage, as written in her letter, is not grounds to grant permission to allow rental of her shed. The Teal family cottage was torn down decades ago and replaced with a single-family home. This argument hints at an expectation of preference or nepotism, which I trust the EIPD will not take into consideration at all. How many sheds will be built over time? Will the owner build a second shed and rent it? My wife and I are in our 60s, and we do not want to have to live with the potential aggravation that the proposed rental could create during our retirement, and we certainly do not want to risk the stress of financial threat living next to a rental property could create. Can receive confirmation of the receipt of this email. Also, can we be notified of the result of the variance request? Regards, Gary and Carrie Weinheimer, 122 Park Avenue.
Objection number 1. Continue.
Okay, and then
Sorry, this
is it here? Up further back. Okay, and then objection number 1 had additional information submitted. Thank you for your quick response. I'm attaching 4 photos of 4 different permanent structures on the property requesting the zoning variance. I do not know their dimensions. 1 is a 2-car garage, 2 is a permanent green gazebo, 3 is a large green shed approximately 15 by 25, 4 is a red storage shed. Perhaps their combined size exceeds the building allowance. Thank you for your consideration. Regards to Weinheimers. Objection number 2. My husband and I are year-round residents at 119 Park Avenue, Winnipeg Beach. While renting a cabin in Winnipeg Beach is a common practice, the increasing number of Airbnbs is becoming a concern. Approving this variance would just encourage more people to apply to turn more properties into Airbnb properties. Turning a guest house into a rental property sets a precedent that is not welcome. This at a time when more controls on Airbnbs and rental properties are needed. Janice and Jeff Scott. Objection number 3. I am writing to you on behalf of my husband and I with regard to the application made for the above, which is noted as application TWB 2427. The applicant has not come forward with any reasons that would benefit the immediate area in town. There is no increase in the taxes they would pay. There would be more traffic, people parking on the street and down the back lane. While the applicant states that she has house rules about the noise, they do not seem to realize that the zoning bylaw change belongs to the property and not to her. In the event the property changes hands by inheritance or sale, the variance would follow to the new owner. If the town approves this application, they are setting precedent, and I fully believe that more owners will want to do this as well. Thank you, Kimberly Zelich, excuse me, Kimberly, if I have not pronounced your name properly, and Bradley Zelich, 122 Alder Avenue, Winnipeg Beach. Objection number 4. This objection is regarding the above subject, which again is the application TWB 24-24B. We own a property on Alder Avenue and believe that a precedent would be made by allowing the application that would create further applications for many others wishing to derive income from their guest houses or other ancillary buildings. We believe the bylaw should remain as is, respecting the definition and restrictions of a guest house. There are many rental properties already advertised on Airbnb, as well as several others listed in the area. We know of another new Airbnb property that opened this year on Prospect across from the marina. Allowing this application will make the situation even more difficult. So those were the written submissions that were submitted as objections. Now we'll do the supports. Oh, I read these as well? Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the support submissions. To whom it may concern, read 134 Park variance for Airbnb use. We own and reside at 125 Park Avenue across the street and diagonal to this location. We have never had any issues or noise arising from this property. Lisa has been an excellent neighbor, friendly and considerate. We have no objection to the use of this space as an Airbnb. We have lived at 125 Park since 1987. Sincerely, Rick and Debbie Wolfson. Support number 2, to whom it may concern. We are neighbors of Lisa Adams and understand you are voting on a variance for small Airbnb. To give some perspective, we have the historic cottage on the west side to Lisa, approximately 120 feet from her cozy rental. We would like to advise that at no time has her rental been a problem for us. We don't really even notice any comings and goings of guests or their cars. I almost said cats. Or their cars. We are surprised to hear there are any issues. Please take into consideration that on our Airbnb listing, the guest comments are of peace and tranquility. And Airbnb have given her superhost status, strongly supporting a well-managed accommodation. Warm regards, Rouge Mace and Pete Mace, 140 Park Avenue, Winnipeg Beach. Next letter of support. In regards to the variance for 134 Park Avenue, Winnipeg Beach, we have lived here for 4 years and have known Lisa for 3 years. Until last year, we were unaware of her rental property, have never heard any noise or were in any way disturbed by her rentals, and have never heard any complaints from our neighbors. We are aware of many Airbnbs and guest cottages in Winnipeg Beach that are totally uncontrolled by any bylaws or guidelines. We have seen many properties, Airbnbs, that were out of control with vehicle parking, loud noise and music, with the yards covered in beer cans and garbage at all hours of the day and night. So we can't understand why you would be going after a single mother who is just trying to make some extra money to survive in these hard economic times. Someone who has never had a noise complaint, garbage strewn across her yard, or parking issues. Thank you. Lynn Johnson, 203 Hazel Avenue, Winnipeg Beach, and Stan Potton, 203 Hazel Avenue in Winnipeg Beach. Support number 4. Hi, this is Leroy Trupp and Connie Vitello of 204 Hazel Avenue, Winnipeg Beach. We are writing to agree with the said zoning bylaw amendment. We are full-time residents, have no complaints and no problems with Lisa renting her little place as it cannot hold a large capacity of guests. Re-roll number 105-800, Leroy Trupp. Support letter 5. To whom it may concern, 134 Park variance for Airbnb use. We reside at 131 Park across the street from this location. We have never had any issues or noise arising from this property. Lisa has been a considerate neighbor. We have no objection to the use of this space as an Airbnb. We've been on this property for 5 or so years now. Carly Gamby. Support number 6, sorry, just that up there, thank you. Dear Council, I'm writing a letter of support on behalf of myself and my grandmother Elizabeth Anderson, who's the homeowner, who is not technically savvy, in regards to Lisa Adams Airbnb 134 Park Avenue. I live at 139 Hazel year-round, and I'm roughly 30 feet behind Lisa Adams. I have 2 young children, and we at no time have been bothered by the company in the guest house, nor have we ever heard any loud noises. We also don't think this will ever be a problem. We just wanted to write a letter of support and recognize that this is how Lisa helps her kids through university. Any additions? Okay, so those are the written submissions that were received either through EIPD or directly to council.
So now the applicant has the opportunity to address council in regards to the written submissions that were received. If you'd like to.
If you'd like. It's not required, Lisa.
And then just.
Very briefly,
And then just to clarify, then you go through the list of anyone who's, so after you've addressed the written submissions, then we go through anyone wishing to speak, and then you have a final opportunity for retort to those speakers.
Wow, complex. Okay, cool. Just for clarity, if anybody's watching on camera, I have a little place. I thought my building was grandfathered in. Those buildings that are on my property were there when I bought them. I have not built another building on there. The Airbnb that I have at the back, I've ran it for 2 years. There's only ever 2 people in my backyard. It does provide a way for Nick and Noah to go to university and trade school. So, and I'm always home when guests are there. There hasn't been any noise, and the complainants, I read through their complaints.
Lisa, sorry, I just want to correct something, okay? These were people's responses in support or objection to your variance request. Nowhere in there is a complaint provided that led to this being followed. Okay, so they are not, none of those listed in there are a complaint that started this process. They are only responses after the request for the variance was posted.
Oh, okay. So I read through their objections.
Yes.
And I cannot change the amount of buildings that are on my property. It has been running for 2 years because I thought the building was grandfathered in. So I do apologize for that. I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. What was the third thing that person said? So that person who objected, who's at 122 Park, has a shed that's falling apart, her garage.
Lisa, sorry, we are not discussing any properties.
Oh, we're not?
around
Okay.
you. We are discussing your variance request and the information that was submitted either in objection or support of your request.
Okay. I think that's about it. Did you get my information this morning on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Basically,
So council has been provided both information packages and they are posted on.
And so I won't talk about the objections, but I will just say, so I can rent my main house out to 8 or 10 people as opposed to being at home and just renting out to 2.
That's correct. The bylaw does allow that.
Okay, and that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
So then we'll go in through, the first person wishing to speak is Gary Weinheimer.
Yeah, that's me.
And you have
Then I have some photos to share with you. So-
Gary, are they the same photos that were submitted through
Some are.
EFPD?
Yes,
Okay,
some
we don't
are.
need those ones again. We already have received all of those.
Okay.
Do you have anything new to submit?
Yes,
We
I
will
do.
look at it.
Yes, I do. Give me a second to get organized here. Now, one thing about the clarification about the 4 photos that you received from me, was that was actually the EIDP asked me for those photos. I didn't just voluntarily send them. The EIDP sent me a note back saying, can you let us know about the 4 buildings that you've listed? I didn't run out and take them arbitrarily, just for the heck of it. I was specifically
Okay,
asked.
sorry, Gary, you will address council, not
Sorry,
the
I was
applicant. Thank
specifically
you.
asked to do that. So.
You were asked to provide photos, or did they ask you for more information on
For the
it?
photos.
Okay, they
Because
specifically
they were
said
not
photos?
aware of the 4 properties that were on the building. I only have 3 copies, so if you could share, that would be appreciated.
Do you guys mind sharing? Since you're putting those together?
So, now one of the reasons I wrote the objection is because this is my back lane, looking from my driveway, next to the building that's falling over. So the first photo is my immediate neighbor, and in this photo, you'll see that he has a septic tank in his driveway.
You're looking at the same
The one with
okay.
the circle, yeah. I did
And
my
just,
best.
sorry, just for clarification, you are 2 properties away from them? There is a
Yes.
property between you and,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, so they've got their septic tank in their parking pad. This is about maybe 5 years old, this location.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the day when he drives his truck into that. and brings-
Again, we are not dealing with this
understand,
property.
but I'm
We are
not.
dealing with the property beside
But
you.
I'm explaining some of the background for why I raised an objection. I'm not complaining about the neighbors. The next photo is a temporary garage that's been there for 7 or more years. Temporary garage is supposed to be brought down every fall. They're
At
not
what,
garage.
at what property?
Again, behind this neighbor. These are
Okay,
all.
again, this is not the
No, but I'm
property in
describing-
discussion, so
it's
I'm
not.
going to ask you to stick and only provide
Okay.
information
The perspective.
on the property
And I
in
understand.
question.
But the next property is a cottage that's been under renovation or rebuilt for 8 years.
Gary,
Next
I'm going to
photo
ask you one
is a
last time,
cottage that has
excuse
been
me,
tieback for
excuse me,
15 years.
Mr. Weinheimer. I will ask you again, and this is the
The
last
fifth
time I will
prop-
ask,
yeah, sure.
excuse me, I am speaking, do not speak over me.
Okay, sorry.
I am asking you for the last time. This issue is with regard to the property in the variance request. You may address that property and no other property.
Okay,
Thank
fair
you.
enough. So then, I guess the next part is you've read my objection, so I don't need to cover that base again. But what I would like to raise the council's attention is that the owner of the property has posted on every medium or,
Again, Mr. Weinheimer, that has nothing to do with the variance request.
it does.
No, I'm
actually.
sorry, it does not.
If I may continue.
No, you may
before
not, because you are going to go down the
Well-
road, a Facebook post that
Well,
has
no,
nothing
no,
to do
it
with
has
this
nothing to do with
process
Facebook post.
and social media.
Yes, it does.
No, I'm sorry,
There
Mr.
is a
Weinheimer, it
matter
does
I
not.
need to raise.
No,
Okay?
that if you wish to raise that, you may make a request to be a delegation at another council meeting. This
So
is
I
strictly
will-
to deal
So my wife
with
and I will continue to get bullied and
Okay.
harassed.
this.
Is this what I'm hearing?
Okay. Do I have the opportunity to ask Mr. Weinheimer to step back if he's not going to continue to address? Yes, so Mr. Weinheimer, you will have one more opportunity to address what you are here to, what is at matter before you. If you choose to bring up something else again, I will be asking you to step away from the table.
Fair enough. So our objection to the property is not simply because of her wanting to have a guest house, which we do not agree with, do not agree with, and we don't support the notion of. There's plenty of guest houses in the community. I understand her need for an economic source of income. I understand. But we are surrounded by Airbnb properties. They are reckless. I have no assurances that, in spite of her best efforts to make this quiet, we have no assurances that's going to happen. Right? Our property and the neighboring properties around it are at risk financially because no one wants to buy another cottage next to a rental property unless they intend to turn it into a rental property. And at what point does this kind of a circle ever stop? If the only people who are going to buy properties next to a rental property are another rental property, property, you're going to run out of homeowners in this town, right, regular residents. And that's our objections.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. One of the things I forgot to mention, and it's not probably something you can look into, but on her advertising, she advertises a full kitchen on this property. My understanding, full kitchens are not permitted. Secondly, she advertises that if there's not enough room in her property, that there's a camper available for larger parties. So there's no assurances, again, that this will be limited to 2 people, because she's advertising it to accommodate more than 2 people.
Mr. Mannheimer, I can confirm for you that with EIPD, the definition of a full kitchen means that it includes a stove.
Like a fixed stove,
That is correct,
okay?
okay?
I haven't been into the property to know what kind of a stove they've got.
Well, I can assure you that I have looked at the photos and there is no stove in that. So it does not have what you are assuming it has. It does not
I'm not
have,
assuming-
while one may refer to it as a full kitchen, it does not meet the definition of a kitchen that is not allowed in a guest house. In order for a kitchen, for contents of a guest house to be considered a kitchen, the definition is that it has to have a stove, and based on the pictures that are available on this property, there is no stove in that kitchen.
Okay, very good. That's not something I could,
Councillor, can I refer to Councillor Hall? At this point.
Are there interior pictures of the building?
I did not receive.
No, I did my own homework, and I'll get to that when we're discussing. No, I did my own homework.
So we'll go through the remainder of who wishes to speak if
Okay.
Mr. Blankheimer is finished. And then council will have the opportunity to ask questions and address the applicant, or actually the applicant will have a chance to address the concerns brought forward at the public hearing, and then council will have an opportunity to ask additional questions.
Thank you.
So next person looking to speak is Laura Allardyce?
Allardyce.
Pretty close.
Allardyce?
Pretty
Okay.
good, pretty good. Can I pull this? I don't know if
Okay,
that's-
so
Full disclosure, this is a property that's been in my family for 100 years. This is my sister. I'm merely wanting to recognize, or have the council recognize, that my sister has been nothing but an exemplary member of the community and has displayed respect and community wellness with regards to the hockey teams or hockey program that she and her ex-husband created, and the food cupboard, and to suggest that she would be irresponsible in this manner, I think, yeah, I'm biased, but I think that her character and her previous actions and previous support of this community and everybody involved in this community would speak to how important it would be for her to be an effective and involved property owner and Airbnb host, for lack of better terminology. So I don't dispute anybody's concerns about Airbnbs and the community becoming full of rentals, but those people do bring in money to the community. They're coming to their restaurants, they're coming to the community events, they're whatever. So purely in defense of the variance that you are considering, if there's any weight given to a community member who has been nothing but loyal, respectful, and team building, I would like you to consider it.
Thank you, Laura.
Okay, so the applicant now does have a chance to respond to the objections and support received.
Do you have any, Lisa, do you have anything to say further? Any
Just
response to-
Just that you're
Okay,
correct about.
To the table, please.
Just about that you're correct, I don't have a stove in my guest house. That's all. Yeah.
So actually, to continue as now is council's opportunity
Okay.
to ask any questions.
Can I just clarify for Councillor Hall? It is listed as an Airbnb rental. I went onto the Airbnb site when I was prepping for the meeting, and that's where I saw the pictures, just doing my homework.
You weren't skulking in my kitchen.
No, I was not skulking in your kitchen. Okay, so Councillor Jarvis, do you have any questions of the applicant or Councillor Hall?
No.
Councillor Kozlowski?
Have there ever been any hot plates in your premises?
Yes,
Is
there have been.
Is there electrical in there, obviously? Or
In-
propane?
No propane.
Okay, so it is
No, but there
electrical.
is a propane little gas thing on the picnic table.
Like a hibachi thing.
Yeah, outside. In the backyard.
But
for
there's
guest
nothing
use.
inside.
Negative, no.
Okay, I do have some questions for you, Lisa.
Okay.
Just to sort of get a better, bigger picture. So you bought the property when?
Nick was 2 and you're 19 now?
So
Yep,
16 years ago, 17? Okay.
16?
Okay, were all of the current buildings that are on that property on there at the time?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So, just for some clarification, we do have there is a bylaw that limits the amount and number of outbuildings to 25% of an individual's property. However, that bylaw was 2012, so the number of buildings you have on your property would be grandfathered and
Correct.
would not fall under that 25%, okay?
Correct.
The shed that you're using, the tiny home that you refer
Yeah.
to it, when were renovations last done on that?
4 years ago?
Okay. So, when you did those renovations, did you get a permit?
I didn't have to, I talked to the builder at the time, and the only renovations we were doing were exact. So we moved a window and a door, and they were exactly the same, which seemed kind of crazy, but they were exactly the same width. Does that make sense?
So
And
you
he
moved,
told
but
me,
you replaced them or you moved them?
just move them.
Okay, so this is not just at you, this may be for anyone else who is listening.
Yeah.
You need to check with the IPD, not your builder,
Oh, okay.
okay? You were required to get permits because I spoke to
Okay,
them on
I
what
didn't
required
get
permits.
permits.
Okay,
No.
the deck, when did you do the deck?
4 years ago.
Okay. And was that a replacement or new?
No, that was new.
That was new.
Yeah.
Okay. So, any deck that is greater than 5 by 50 square feet, higher than 8 inches, or has a roof requires a permit. Your
Okay.
deck required a permit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have stated a couple of times that you rent to 2 people at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Your property comes up when an Airbnb request is filtered for 4 occupants.
Yes. It has never had 4.
There are 2 reviews on Airbnb on your property.
Mm-hmm.
One from July 23rd of 2023, my kids and I. That is more than 2 people. And August 22nd, we brought our 11-month-old. Again, more than 2 occupants in your.
They may have had their kids visit, but they didn't stay. I've never had more than 2 people in my rental.
But your rental filters for 4 occupants. So
It is, because there's a pull-out bed and there's a double bed.
you're also looking at putting a loft in, coming soon, a loft.
Yeah, but not a sleeping loft. It's just for toys and
Okay,
books.
so more construction that will
No,
require.
there's a loft in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking these questions, Lisa, is if there's going to be consideration for it to be allowed,
Mhm.
there will, we have the right to put stipulations in.
Mhm.
I would like to look at it completely, and then us have a vote on whether or not, even with the conditions, it's acceptable to be. And I don't know whether the rest of council have any other conditions that they would like to add.
Mhm.
But it will be either approved, denied, or can be approved with conditions. And I just do want to stress, as mentioned at the start of this, in discussion with the EIPD, these decisions are not precedent setting, and every decision is based on its own merit.
Mhm.
Does anyone else have anything else? No? Okay. we have anything else?
Do you have anything else?
Or do you have anything else, Dan?
No.
Closing? Okay.
No, I think it's pretty clear.
Be it resolved that the business of the public hearing is now completed and is now closed, and that council return to the regular order of business.
Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Jarvis, can I get a seconder? Councillor Hall? All in favor? Carried. Okay. So, anyone have any thoughts? Because we need to make a decision. I have some thoughts on perhaps looking at this and approving it with some restrictions or conditions. Do you want me to put those conditions forward? If anyone else has anything else, we add it and then we vote on either whether or not we want to pass it or not. Yes, Councillor Jarvis.
Would it be okay to review this thing, to have a look at it?
We
Yes, it's
have-
been suggested, or at least measured, it's been suggested that it's 15 by 25, which would exceed the maximum building area by about 55 feet.
Okay, so based on the time of the buildings, okay, they are grandfathered. Our current rules and when those rules were put into place, and this was with discussion with the IPD, they don't follow any of our current rules. One of the things that I was going to suggest, there have been renovations done. One of the things I was going to suggest was, so when work is done and it isn't permitted, they can only go back 2 years and the person is subject to paying, okay, this is 4 years. What can be included is that we require the homeowner at their expense to have a building inspection by EIPD to ensure that it meets all of the, what building codes are and such, and cannot continue the rental until either that has been done or, and if things need to be brought up to code, that work is done before, so.
It seems to be a number, when I say a number of contradictions, it seems to be more than it's suggested.
So in these cases, when a bylaw is changed and zoning bylaws do change on a regular basis, anything that is in place prior to the change in the zoning bylaw is considered existing non-conforming, or a lot of terminology uses, you'll hear the word grandfathered in. So even if the building square footage exceeds the current legislation, because those buildings were in place prior to that legislation being in place, it's existing but non-conforming. So it's that grandfathered clause. So even if it is over the allotted permitted of building space, because those buildings were in place prior to the legislation of the zoning bylaw, it's just considered existing, non-conforming. If another building or shed was looking to be built, a new building on that property, the new building would be subject to the rules and regulations of the current zoning bylaw, and therefore the review of the square footage of the property would be conducted, and it would, at that point, if it is over the amount of allotted space, would be rejected and denied.
That applies to an awful lot of buildings in Winnipeg Beach.
Correct.
I'll guess
Existing-
80–90% of them.
It
And there are
affects-
copious, the memo I read, there's over 80 guest house listed in Winnipeg Beach.
So with the information from assessment, that was for council information in case there was any concerns brought forward or how many there are. Based on assessment though, you do need to keep in mind the criteria for assessment to list it as a guest house on assessment does not mean it's necessarily a guest house. So if you have a shed that has windows and power and the door, they may assess that building, that secondary building, as a guest house. It's up to the individual to say, I shouldn't be as a guest house. So assessment has a different set of criteria as to what they can assess as a guest house. It's not saying it's a true guest cottage.
There is a listing though, that says a guest house means an accessory detached dwelling located on the same site as a single-family dwelling, which is intended to be used as an extension to the residential use of the single-family dwelling. So, ergo, somebody could have a shed that down that they want to turn into a guest house. Correct?
Correct, so it's a secondary building that assessment has deemed a guest house.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to
Yeah,
make it
that's-
difficult here, I'm just
yeah,
saying,
no.
this applies to an awful lot of properties.
Okay, but Councillor Jarvis, I will also remind you, as I reminded a member of the gallery, we are dealing with this property right
Well,
now.
that's exactly what I'm dealing with.
Well, no, we're
No,
dealing
because
with.
it's
but
listed
you're-
as a guest house, is it not?
No, but you're referring to, we're dealing with an awful lot of properties. We're dealing with this property.
But there's an awful lot of similarities on an awful lot of properties.
And as I said, we will not, this does not set a precedent. This is this property and we're looking
It
at
might be
this
a box that
property.
we don't want to open.
Well, then you have the right to vote in whichever way you'd like to vote if you are feeling that it's a box you don't want to open.
So I would just like to clarify, like with the variance, it's not about having a guest house on the property. The reason the variance is having a rental property is permitted. It's permitted if you rent the entire property. There's a clause within the zoning bylaw that states you cannot just rent the guest house. So if the applicant were to rent the main house and the guest house as part of the rental, there would be no variance required. And so when anyone who is looking at, or there is concern of renting a guest house, the variance is not about a guest house, the variance is the fact of renting the guest house only. And if another applicant who has a guest house on their property would have to go through the same process and obtain a variance through this. The decision being made today is not transferable to every situation. Every person would require a variance, and the outcome of that variance, the public hearing, may be very different in each case. So, just making sure. And council does have the right, again, as Deputy Mayor had stated, that you can approve with conditions, or deny.
So do any of the three of you have any conditions that you would like to see on this?
They deny.
Or do you want to deny, or do you want to deny this request? Because if there is a vote right now to deny it, there is no point in spending time listing,
Go to a vote then.
pardon me?
Go to a vote then.
So,
Well, I don't want to go to a, okay, then I think we need to list the,
so what is, council, I'm requiring, what exactly is the vote that we're voting on? Is the vote to accept or approve with conditions, or deny?
I'll go first. I'll deny it.
Councilor Hall?
I have a hard time with it, a little bit, kind of like Gimli did when they brought in Airbnbs. There was no regulations, there was no, smoke detector regulations, there was no monitored fire regulations, there was none of this stuff, so. That goes with all rental properties, but I'll stick to this one.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. So I'm a little concerned there. I'm a little concerned that I don't know what's in there. I don't know monitored fire systems. I don't know what EIPD wants. I don't know. We as a council spoke about Airbnbs, and we were going to actually have, we were going to talk about putting together a bylaw or an Airbnb sort of, so until then, I'm not comfortable moving forward.
Councilor Kozlowski?
Well,
was thinking about this quite a bit. I was thinking that there'd be a precedent set with this. As you stated earlier, there wouldn't be, and we'd have to tackle each one as they come in.
Yeah.
Correct. I would probably like to approve it with conditions from the IPD. Going down there and having a look.
Okay, so are you comfortable with me listing off the conditions that I have thought about and then we can
Yeah.
go from there? Okay. Then I can go to vote. So, that the Airbnb listing be revised to only allow two renters at a time. There have been no noise complaints on this property, okay? There have been none. However, should there be a noise complaint that has been substantiated, so not one that's just made, we all know people can make vexatious complaints about things, it would have to be either the individual making the complaint has recorded the noise, or when the bylaw officer attends, the noise is still ongoing. And if under either of those circumstances there is a complaint, the variance is immediately withdrawn. So one of the concerns that has been raised by people objecting is noise. There has been none. And so if that were to happen, the variance would be withdrawn. Is that correct terminology?
Yes.
That the variance would be withdrawn. Okay, so noise. There's a couple of other things I thought about. Oh yes, the homeowner contact EIPD for the guest house to be inspected, and all changes that were made 4 years ago, which fall under our current building bylaw, be assessed at the homeowner's cost, and any changes that are required as noted by EIPD need to be corrected before such time that she can continue renting.
So building up the code is kind of.
Well, yeah, so had she had taken permits out at the time, it would have had to have been expected. The reason I am saying that it goes at the cost of the homeowner is because it's out of the span where she'd be required to get a permit. There's no monetary permit fee to offset the time of the inspector. So that's why I am saying that's at her expense, but it would need to be approved by them.
One of the biggest Airbnb problems was, again, the safety of the renters. So, fire systems, carbon monoxide detectors, like all these things need to be in place. That's a big concern for me.
And I don't know if that's covered by EIPD, to be honest with you. I do know that there are expectations by Airbnb as far as safety. And all of those safety. I'm gonna just, I can't ask her back to the table, can I? We're back in public meeting. Can I? No. Okay. So I do know that just as an experienced Airbnb user that there are requirements by Airbnb hosts as far as safety and things that are expected by the Airbnb platform. And all of those things are listed on the Airbnb listing by the host, okay? So then, do we want to add that the homeowner conforms to all safety requirements on the Airbnb platform? And so if we're going to say
So the homeowner complies, did you say?
complies with all safety requirements that are required to be on the Airbnb platform. And then if that is a concern for us, Councillor Holt, we want to restrict the rental to the Airbnb platform only. Because then we're not like you've raised the issue of safety and these features, and I do know that there are safety requirements by Airbnb. If they go off the Airbnb platform,
There's no regulation.
there's no regulation of the
Yep,
safety
that
features.
sounds-
Okay, so
fair.
you can only rent through the Airbnb platform? Should the name on title of the property change, the property be willed or sold, the variance is terminated. Anything else that any of you would like to see on there?
Cooking facilities?
Okay, so as I said, it is listed as a guest house, and EIPD's definition for a guest house, the only thing is it can have a bathroom, it has to be on shared utilities, it can't have a stove. So it must maintain, how about it must maintain the definition of a guest cottage, okay? Must maintain the definition of a guest cottage when it comes to cooking. Yes, Councilor Jarvis?
Under guest houses, it still says, oh, it's not to be rented separately from a single family dwelling.
Well, and that's what the variance request is for,
Right.
to allow her to do that.
But then, can we change the terminology on it, or?
The terminology on what? I'm sorry.
If you're gonna put it, advertise it on Airbnb, why can't we just list it like an Airbnb then? Isn't, like, I understand the concept of the variance, but I mean, if we're going to make all these changes, it's still gonna be a guest house, or is it gonna be listed as rental property?
Okay, by definition, on town bylaws, it's a guest house. Our bylaw states that you cannot rent out a guest house on its own without renting the full property.
Mhm. No, I understand.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not understanding what your question is.
Well, it just seems odd, like we're setting it up now as an Airbnb, and it's no longer a guest house.
Yes, it is, it's a guest house. She's renting it through the Airbnb platform.
Okay, I withdraw my question.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed the last one, must maintain.
Must maintain the definition, must maintain the property as defined in our bylaw as a guest house. Can you add the bylaw number later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas the applicant, owner of the property located at 134 Park Avenue and legally described as Lot 8, Block 9, Plan 725, roll number 105800 in the town of Winnipeg Beach, has applied to the town of Winnipeg Beach for a variation TWB 24-24B to allow for short-term rental of an existing guest house. Be it resolved that after careful consideration for the application and any representations made for or against the variation, the Council of Winnipeg Beach in meeting duly assembled this 24th day of July 2024 approves variation TWB 24-24V with the following conditions. Condition 1, Airbnb listing be revised to only allow 2 renters at a time. Condition 2, should there be a noise complaint that is substantiated, the variance is immediately withdrawn. 3, require the homeowner at their expense to contact EIPD to have a building inspection to ensure the building is compliant with regulations and any requirements identified by EIPD be rectified prior to the variance coming into effect. 4, the homeowner complies with all safety requirements on the Airbnb platform. 5, the guest house can only be rented through the Airbnb platform. 6, should the name on the property change, the variance is terminated. And 7, must maintain the property as defined as a guest house in zoning bylaw 12-2012.
I'm sorry, I have one more thing. Where you said, where we said the Airbnb listing changed to 2 people only. I know from experience, often Airbnb property owners will make little side deals it needs to also stipulate that the property owner may not at any time deviate from more than 2 renters. So just because the ad is changed, doesn't mean the homeowner can't change it, and we don't want that happening.
So that takes out the camper as well. I guess.
This is only the guest cottage.
Yeah.
I don't believe we have a
No, so
bylaw
she
that
shouldn't advertise
limits
the camper.
people.
She shouldn't advertise the camper on Airbnb.
So you would like that added?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, and no, because we don't have a
To be
bylaw
fair.
that governs, we don't have anything that would govern the camper, so you would like that added as another condition, Councillor Hull? That the camper not be
If we're
advertised for
only
additional?
allowing her 2 people, and I guess, what's the point of having the camper on there?
But I think it's important that we specify it then if that's a thought or a concern. Because you're right, it is outside the guest house.
There is no bylaw infraction to allow for a camper on a property, just to be clear. So is the condition,
Okay, so we can't, that's not, okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay, we can't include that. I understand what you're saying.
okay, so.
But I do
so-
want her to, yeah, so 2 people only, advertise it as a accommodation for maximum 2 people,
2 renters at a time, and the property owner
may not,
may not.
outside of the scope of the advertisement, allow additional people.
Okay, so back to 1, the Airbnb listing be revised to allow only 2 renters at a time. 2, the property owner may not, outside the scope of the advertisement, allow additional people. 3, should there be a noise complaint that is substantiated, the variance is immediately withdrawn. 4, require the homeowner at their expense to contact EIPD to have the building inspection, a building inspector to ensure the building is compliant with regulations and any requirements identified by EIPD be rectified prior to the variance coming into effect. 5, the homeowner complies with all safety requirements on the Airbnb platform. 6, can only rent through the Airbnb platform. 7, should the name of the property change, the variance is terminated. And 8, must maintain the property as defined as a guest house in bylaw 12-2012. Can I get a mover?
Can I get a mover? Councillor Jarvis. Could I get a seconder? Councillor Kozlowski. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Opposed? It's defeated. A tie is defeated. Sorry, who was that seconder? Kozlowski or Hall? Kozlowski. Thank you all for your time. We should advise.
Be it hereby resolved that council moves in camera at 7:24 p.m. to discuss matters that are in the preliminary stages and legal matters. And be it further resolved that any matters discussed while in camera be held confidential until such time as discussed in open council.
Can I get a mover? Councillor Jarvis, could I get a seconder? Councillor Hall, we both went up at the same time. All in favor? I'd like to thank you all for attending this evening. The applicant and anybody who registered will get notification?
That's correct.
Yeah, the applicant and anyone who registered will get written notification of the results of the,
Any written submissions.
yeah, any written submissions. And oral or just written? Yeah, and oral. Okay, so we are going in camera, so have a good evening.
hereby resolved that council moves out of camera at 7:59 PM and resumes the regular order of business.
Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Kozlowski. Could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Jarvis. All in favor? Carried.
Whereas the town of Winnipeg Beach will on October 17th, 2024, 10 a.m. proceed to sell properties that are not redeemed from tax sale by public auction. And whereas pursuant to Section 372 of the Municipal Act, a municipality may set a reserve bid in the amount of tax arrears and costs in respect to the property. And whereas pursuant to Section 374 of the Municipal Act, a municipality may bid and purchase on a property at public auction and may direct a designated officer to bid on its behalf. Therefore, be it resolved, the town of Winnipeg Beach place a reserve bid on rolls number 42800, 68822, 92500, and 171850 in the amount of all arrears and costs in respect of the property. And further be it resolved that council for the town of Winnipeg Beach appoint Sharon Desiatnik to bid on behalf of the town of Winnipeg Beach at the October 17th, 2024 tax sale auction.
Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Jarvis. Could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Hall. All in favor? Carried.
Be it hereby resolved that council adjourns the July 24th, 2024 regular meeting at 8:01 p.m.
Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Jarvis. Could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Kozlowski. All in favor? Carried.